elections and registrations. I'm on the inside right now. So I just want you to be like real discerning about all that you're hearing from people who are on the outside of what's going on. I'm going to give you the truth about what's happening. So they served a warrant, the FBI, this is Trump, serving a warrant to go pick up the 2020 ballots, which are in a secure location inside of here, 700 boxes. The first warrant that they gave was incorrect legally, like they didn't follow the right procedure. They went back. So he's trying to create chaos. So this is what he does. Chaos in Minnesota, chaos in Fulton County. We are chaos in Minnesota, chaos in Fulton County. We are a target. Protect your vote at all costs. I'm telling you, everybody always says your life depends on it. Oh, your life does depend on it this time.
Looking for a fast way to track what's moving online right now? Head over to Qnotables.com. It's a centralized index of notable clips, headlines, and references being shared across the community, organized for quick browsing. Use it to spot patterns, pull links, and build your own research list. Qnotables.com. Browse the notables, verify the facts, stay informed. All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Boards, January 30th, 2026. Federal agents, along with Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, executed a court-authorized search warrant this week at the Fulton County election hub in Union City, Georgia, seizing 2020 election materials, including ballots and related records. The warrant remains sealed, and officials have not publicly detailed the specific allegation driving the search. Fulton County leaders said they were not given full visibility into what was taken at the time and called the operation alarming and disruptive. The FBI director said a federal judge found probable cause for the search. The seizure is already drawing scrutiny from state and federal lawmakers, and more clarity is expected as filings become public. Tension is rising in Fulton County following the FBI's raid on the county elections hub, with lawmakers and officials openly signaling concern about what comes next. State legislators say confusion inside county offices was evident as news of the search spread, and multiple sources describe staff and political leaders scrambling for answers as federal agents removed materials. The warrant remains sealed, fueling speculation and unease. Observers say the atmosphere around county government is now one of visible anxiety, as officials wait to learn whether the raid signals a broader federal investigation. Newly released video from Minneapolis appears to show ICU nurse Alex Pretty confronting federal immigration agents on January 13th, including shouting, spitting, and damaging a government SUV's taillight. Multiple outlets report the footage was verified and surfaced days after Pretty was killed in a separate encounter on January 24th. The video is now being cited in the national debate over what happened, while investigators review the deadly shooting that sparked large protests in Minnesota. President Trump is publicly labeling Alex Pretty an agitator and suggesting he may have been an insurrectionist after the earlier confrontation video circulated. The White House says the administration is reviewing the case while federal officers involved remain under scrutiny. Pretty's family and attorneys argue the earlier incident does not justify the later use of deadly force and are demanding accountability for the shooting. House Republicans have introduced the Make Elections Great Again Act, a sweeping election bill that would tighten voting rules nationwide. The proposal includes national requirements like proof of citizenship and photo ID, and it targets practices like universal mail voting and ranked choice voting. Democrats are signaling strong opposition, and the bill faces a difficult path in a closely divided Congress. Panama's Supreme Court has ruled unconstitutional the long-running concession that allowed a Hong Kong-based company through Panama Ports Company to operate two major ports at opposite ends of the Panama Canal. The decision throws the future of those port operations into uncertainty and could impact a larger planned global port sale involving the parent company. Panamanian authorities now face decisions on what legal and operational framework replaces the voided contracts. The White House says President Trump has signed an executive order declaring a national emergency tied to Cuba and creating a process to impose tariffs on goods from countries that supply oil to the Cuban government. The administration frames the move as a national security step meant to pressure Havana and disrupt support networks. The order lays out how tariffs could be triggered and how enforcement would be implemented moving forward. Twitch has banned political streamer Hassan Piker again, with his channel taken offline during a live broadcast on January 29th. Twitch has not publicly issued detailed reasons or a clear duration in an official statement at the time of reporting. The ban immediately sparked widespread online reaction and renewed debate over platform enforcement standards for political commentary and inflammatory speech. U.S. defense officials and reporting say the military has carried out what's described as the first kinetic drone swarm strike demonstration on American soil. The test involved multiple drones operating together, with live fire effects used to strike targets under a common control framework. The milestone is being treated as a major step in Pentagon efforts to scale unmanned systems and swarm tactics, while also raising questions about domestic testing boundaries and oversight. President Trump, along with Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and the Trump Organization, has filed a lawsuit seeking at least $10 billion from the IRS and the Treasury Department over the leak of confidential tax records. The filing argues the government failed to safeguard the information and claims significant reputational and financial harm. The leak was previously tied to a former IRS contractor who pleaded guilty and was sentenced in 2024. In the U.S. House, an amendment by Representative Eli Crane to block funding for the National Endowment for Democracy failed by recorded vote 127 to 291 on January 14th. The roll call shows all voting Democrats opposed it, and a notable number of Republicans joined them, keeping the funding intact. The vote is now being circulated widely because it creates a clean public list of where members stood on NED funding. In Indiana, Senate Bill 182 advanced with language that defines sex-based terms in state law and requires state records like birth certificates to be marked male or female under specified rules. The bill also includes provisions affecting public schools and state corrections policy. Supporters frame it as clarifying state law and standards. Seattle's mayor has announced steps intended to limit ICE use of city-owned property and to coordinate local responses to federal immigration activity. Local reporting says the plan includes using police to verify the identity of federal agents in certain situations and setting clearer city protocols for how municipal resources are used. The move is being presented as a public safety and legal posture by the city, and it is likely to face pushback and possible litigation. New reporting describes ICE expanding detention capacity through large warehouse purchases, including a Phoenix area facility reported at roughly $70 million and described as the size of several football fields. The broader reporting says these mega warehouse deals are part of a larger detention expansion plan across multiple communities. The purchases are drawing attention because of their scale, speed, and the downstream impacts on local infrastructure and public debate. A jury in King County has found the city of Seattle negligent in its emergency response during the 2020 CHOP zone and awarded more than $30 million related to the death of 16-year-old Antonio Mays Jr. The verdict centers on claims that first responders did not enter the area promptly, leaving civilians to attempt transport and aid. Seattle officials are reviewing legal options, and the decision adds new legal and financial pressure tied to how the city managed that protest zone. In Sudan's South Kordofan, reports say dozens were killed in drone strikes blamed on the Rapid Support Forces, hitting areas around Dilling as the war continues to spread into new regions. The strikes come amid a worsening humanitarian situation, with civilians facing displacement, shortages, and limited medical care. Sudan's conflict has increasingly featured drone attacks, and international observers warn the violence is escalating beyond earlier front lines. Iran's judiciary says it executed Ahmadreza Sabet Esmailpour after convicting him of spying and intelligence cooperation for Israel's Mossad. Iranian state-linked reporting says the Supreme Court upheld the sentence and alleges he transferred classified information through covert communications. The execution is likely to intensify regional tensions and follows a pattern of Iran using capital punishment in national security cases that draw international scrutiny over due process standards. DS. Microsoft is warning Windows users about stability problems tied to January's mandatory security update, with reports describing crashes that can trigger a black screen of death on some PCs. Coverage says Microsoft has acknowledged the issue and is working on fixes as users report widespread reliability concerns. The problem adds to ongoing criticism of update quality control, especially when patches are automatic and users have limited ability to avoid impact.
At shop.isitwaya.com, everything you buy supports Akun.top, the place where people talk freely no matter what. Check out our Akun Honey Pot, a jar of yummy honey that's as strong as your voice. Put it on toaster and tea. It's not just honey, it's freedom in every bite. Then there's Akun Butter, a smooth handmade skin cream that makes you feel good while you fight for what's right. Awesome wood and pieces for display only. Hang them up or set them out. They're for showing off a coon's tough spirit. Want to help even more? Get a proto membership. So go to shop.istheway.com now and grab some goodies. Help a-coon.top keep free speech alive, and let's keep the ideas flowing loud and free.
All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here. From the Q Research Board's January 30th, 2026, a disgraced Mockingbird media puppet and former CNN anchor Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents in connection with an incident at a Minnesota church earlier this month. Authorities say Lemon entered City's Church in St. Paul on January 18th and recorded a protest that disrupted a Sunday worship service opposing immigration enforcement. Lemon's lawyer confirmed the arrest occurred while he was covering the Grammy Awards and said his role was journalistic. Prosecutors initially sought charges under federal law after video showed his presence at the protest, but a federal magistrate judge previously declined to approve those charges. At this time, specific felony counts have not been publicly detailed, and the case is continuing to develop as federal authorities proceed with their investigation. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's China trip produced several headline deliverables, including visa-free travel for UK citizens visiting China for up to 30 days and a reduction in tariffs on Scotch whisky. The UK government is framing the package as a pro-growth reset after years of strained relations. Starmer also signaled continued clear-eyed engagement, saying economic cooperation will continue while security issues remain on the table in the relationship. A deal has been reached in Washington to move spending legislation forward and avert a federal government shutdown that was looming this weekend. Under the framework described by Senate sources, Homeland Security funding is being handled separately with a short-term extension while broader talks continue. Leaders are now racing the clock to assemble enough votes to finalize the package. In Minneapolis, Border Czar Tom Homan says the administration may draw down immigration enforcement personnel if local cooperation improves and tensions cool. He signaled a shift toward more targeted operations, focused on offenders with serious criminal histories. The comments come amid ongoing protests and heightened scrutiny of federal enforcement tactics. The White House has launched the Great American Recovery Initiative, describing it as a national effort to combat addiction and expand treatment access. The presidential action frames addiction as a chronic, treatable disease and highlights gaps in treatment and public awareness. The administration says the initiative will coordinate federal agencies and modernize prevention and recovery strategies. New CDC provisional data shows overdose deaths fell substantially over the most recent 12-month period tracked, continuing a downward trend. The CDC says the counts are provisional and can change as more death certificate data is processed. Public health officials are watching whether the declines hold across regions and drug categories. The Department of Homeland Security marked 1 year since the Laken-Riley Act became law, pointing to new enforcement outcomes under the statute. DHS says the law expanded mandatory detention triggers for certain offenses and has been used in a large number of arrests tied to covered crimes. The department is also using the anniversary to argue for continued immigration enforcement funding. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump attended the Washington premiere of her film Melania at the Kennedy Center. The event used a black carpet format aligned with the film's branding, and the First Lady described the project as emotional and cinematic. The premiere arrives as the film heads into wider theatrical release. Earlier this week, Melania Trump promoted the film by ringing the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange and speaking about storytelling and cultural influence. The appearance was part of a larger rollout strategy tied to the film's release window. The First Lady's public schedule around the project has drawn significant national attention. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence has released a set of documents it says relate to intelligence assessments and decisions during the Obama era. The ODNI release frames the material as new evidence supporting its claims, and the office says it has been referred to the Justice Department. The disclosures are already triggering political and legal debate over what the documents do and do not prove. UK drug maker AstraZeneca has announced a major investment push in China through 2030, expanding research and manufacturing plans. The announcement coincided with Prime Minister Keir Starmer's trip to China, where the UK government is emphasizing trade and investment wins. The move highlights how central China remains to global pharma growth strategies. AstraZeneca also struck a separate licensing deal with China's CSPC Pharmaceutical Group for obesity and weight management therapies. The agreement includes a large upfront payment and milestone-based totals that could reach far higher if targets are met. AstraZeneca gets rights outside Greater China, and the companies say they'll collaborate using delivery platforms and AI tools. CISA has released federal buying guidance identifying technology product categories where post-quantum cryptography is already widely available. The guidance is meant to steer agencies toward quantum-resistant options as standards mature and procurement cycles turn over. It's part of a broader U.S. push to harden systems against future quantum decryption risks. The NSA continues to publish post-quantum cybersecurity resources tied to the transition toward quantum-resistant algorithms for national security systems. The guidance points agencies to the CNSA Suite 2.0 pathway and related policy documents. The message is simple. Systems with long life cycles need to start migrating now. In Arizona, authorities arrested a Jordanian national after an aircraft was evacuated at Phoenix Sky Harbor due to a passenger incident. Reporting says the individual boarded with an invalid or canceled ticket, refused to comply with crew instructions, and prompted a security response. Federal charges include interference with flight crew and airport security violations. China is moving toward visa-free travel for UK tourists and business visitors for stays under 30 days, following talks involving Prime Minister Keir Starmer. UK officials are presenting it as a practical step to support business ties and travel. Implementation details and a start date are expected to be clarified as both sides finalize the arrangement. PBS reporting says Starmer and China's leadership are signaling interest in deeper economic engagement while acknowledging continued security and policy disputes. The trip is being framed by London as a targeted effort to open markets for UK firms and attract investment back home. The next test will be whether announced measures translate into concrete commercial deals.
Every voice matters. The power of free speech is more important than ever. Imagine a place where you can share your thoughts freely, explore new ideas, and engage in meaningful conversations anonymously. With online anonymity, you can express yourself without fear of judgment. It's about freedom, creativity, and connection. Join the conversation that matters. Embrace your voice. Celebrate your freedom. Visit 8kun.top today. That's 8kun.top.
All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
That's all for now. Stay alert, stay informed, and never hand your thinking over to anyone on a screen, including me. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless the United States of America. See you soon.
This segment right now is brought to you by the letter Q, specifically QAnon. QAnon.
QAnon.
QAnon. QAnon.
QAnon. QAnon. QAnon. QAnon.
QAnon. QAnon.
QAnon.
QAnon.
QAnon.
Let me introduce you to QAnon.
They wore shirts and signs emblazoned with only the letter Q.
Emblazoned with the letter Q. A fringe
conspiracy theory group.
Broad and often bizarre, it's difficult to believe.
There are people who actually believe this stuff. It takes one conspiracy and puts them all together.
This is crazy. This is insanity. This is all insane and incoherent.
So what is Q? What is QAnon? What's it all about?